going on, Jerome? It's a beautiful Sunday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. So I wish I was into hockey more. Maybe I'm going to try to, because I know that the state tournament here in the great state of Minnesota is the event of the year. And congratulations to the Spuds. I don't know. They beat Stillwater like 7-6. It's kind of awesome. But J. McCarthy in attendance, and also I love the people who sit up high. Now, obviously, this isn't like a NHL game, although secondary market tickets to these things are getting kind of crazy. But and I'll say it too, like, yeah, being close is great in terms of status and as well as getting your bona fides, but elevation and a little bit back, you see the whole field. It's like watching the All-22 versus the TV broadcast, like when you're down close. Although, when you're on the glass at a hockey game, it's like NASCAR going by. You can feel the vibrations. It's good. But J.J. McCarthy at the hockey tournament, he was a hockey guy first and foremost. He was good, man. Right? But I'm glad that he chose football because he is certainly our quarterback one. I was thinking Sammy Darnold likely leaving to Seattle. It's going to be JJ show. All right, so Louis Riddick, ESPN. He's one of the few national media jabroni haircuts who are just like, oh, yeah, the Vikings drafted their highest quarterback in team history, number 10, and J.J. McCarthy's 22 years young. Yeah, he had the meniscus repair, but is good to go for organized team activities as well as off-season work. So, yeah, also, I think that given how Kevin O'Connell has operated with Sam Darnold, as well as with Kirk Cousins, as well as Justin Friggin Jefferson, Addison, Hockenson, Darisaw, eventually O'Neal, an improved offensive line, an actual running game. Oh, weird. J.J. McCarthy is actually set up for success. It's kind of crazy, but Riddick, I would expect that whatever the Vikings do, it is the ultimate goal being to see that the quarterback that they drafted 10th overall, less than a year ago, becomes a starting franchise quarterback. He's capable of coming sooner rather than later. Thank you. My God. Because it seems like, remember last Tuesday, it was like, Vikings working out a multi-year deal for Darnold. Aaron Rodgers. Blah, blah, blah. It just, let us live our lives, people. It's almost like JJ was the plan all along, right? And when the Vikings signed Darnold initially, 1 year, $10 million to be the bridge quarterback for rookie TBD. JJ was rookie TBD. And before the knee, it was going to be up in the air. Like Darnold was going to start the season, but I think JJ was pushing. But we'll see. Also with Darnold. Now, there's a couple moving parts, but Geno being traded to the Raiders becomes official on the first day of the new league year. And Darnold likely heading up to Seattle, but how much is he going to get paid? Now, reportedly, they had offered Geno a $35 to $40 million deal. Do they offer Darnold the same amount of cash? Does Darnold go for it? We'll see. But PFF guesstimates right now, Darnold 3 years, $123 million, probably like 70 in guarantees. But yeah, he does crest that $40 million per year. I kind of have my doubts, the way that, because if Darnold had been like the prize for everyone and just like the apple of everyone's eye, it would hurt some steam. Like Tennessee Titans gearing up, the Raiders before the trade for Geno, the Steelers, the Seahawks after the trade Geno, but we didn't really get that vibe, right? Unless something comes out of nowhere, just like the Falcons last year with Kirk Cousins, because, I mean, there was some connection, yeah, because, did you know the Julie's from Georgia? But in terms of the money, like, it wasn't there. But all it takes is one team. Darnold, congrats. Happy he's going to get paid. I hope he does well, except for when it involves the Vikings, whether head-to-head or in playoff places and chases, all that stuff. Also, so again, the national media just trying to shove it down our throats. The Vikings are trying to get Darnold on multi-year. About Aaron Rodgers, blah. And it's frustrating because Florio, Garofalo, Rossini, like all Pelissero, all the insiders just like, Aaron Rodgers could be an option for the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers. It's ridiculous. Judd, the voice of reason, respect. I've always loved Judd Zulgad. He definitely wasn't Sid's ghostwriter at the end. Let's make a few things clear. Sam Darnold was never coming back to the Vikings. Check. J.J. McCarthy is the present and the future. Check. The Vikings would like to keep Daniel Jones. Check. Aaron Rodgers has as much of a chance of becoming a Viking as my dog Stella does. Now, Stella, a little bit too short, a bit more of a running quarterback, but also not really a thrower either. She's very much like Tebow. So it's funny when Tebow literally could not throw. They're like, Tebow's just going to go to the CFL. CFL is literally a passing league. Tebow would not have done good. But here's what bugs me about the Rodgers stuff. And yes, if you look through, the insiders are saying like Aaron Rodgers could be an option for the Vikings. Again, Rossini of The Athletic, Garofalo, NFL Network, Pelissero, Florio. Everyone's chiming in as like, oh, Rodgers could be an option. Here's something that's very, very important. All of the speculation, they never say the word sources, right? Example, sources in the Vikings organization say that Aaron Rodgers could be an option, right? So then they would actually be reporting steam, like actual tangible steam, as opposed to Aaron Rodgers could be an option for the Vikings. They're literally just making it up. It's literally just pushing a narrative because, Favre went to the Vikings after the Jets. No, I just don't see it. And again, let us live our lives with our gorgeous 22-year-old blonde quarterback, huh? Can we just do that? Like, people keep trying to find ways to keep JJ on the bench. It's not going to happen. The kid's got hot. The kid's got fire. He's going to get after things. And also a big reason why McCarthy's going to get after things is that the Vikings could have a new offensive lineman in free agency. Will Fries from the Colts, come on down. So Brandon Thorne, one of the grand poobahs of offensive line analysis, love his work. Favorite offensive line landing spots in free agency. Many of these would be ideal if they were re-signed, but for the sake of the extras, let's assume they won't be. Will Fries, you want it going to the Vikes. Stanley got re-signed by the Ravens. Becton go to the Chargers. Becton's not coming here. Apparently he and Keith Cotta got a little bit of a history. Dahlman to the Seahawks, Tyron to the Chiefs, Ryan Kelly to the Bears. No. Dan Moore Browns, Macari to the Jets, Macari and the Jets, Tevin to the Cardinals. I mean, just keep Will Hernandez. James Daniels to the Bengals. No. Gimme. Zeitler, Moses and Scherf to the Titans. I mean, Moses and Scherf to the Titans with Latham and Skoronski. I mean, baby, you got a stew going. But Fries to the Vikings, it does make a ton of sense. And scheme fit, yeah, he's coming off of that broken leg, which certainly set him back. He's having a phenomenal season. He's young. He'll be 30 by the time his second contract runs out. And basically just plop his ass in at right guard, and you're going to be good to go. Like, he does have an anchor. He's highly coachable. 86.9 PFF grade, again, in only 5 games, but he's going to be good to go, and does have some positional flexibility as well. Plus, actually played quite a bit of left guard, but of course, in college. But of course, before joining the Colts, you're not going to play left guard with Quentin Nelson in the building. But Will Fries he's not going to break the bank. Like, he'll get a decent contract, not going to break the bank, but it certainly would be an upgrade along the offensive line and will alleviate a lot of issues moving forward. Speaking of offensive line, so again, I feel like Kwesi doesn't get enough credit for, like, hey, Darrisaw went down, and literally days later, the Vikings traded for a starting caliber left tackle. Now, Robinson did not have a good second Rams game. It was bad. It was bad, but he's going to get paid for agency. Albert Breer. With Ronnie Stanley, the free agent left tackle market is headed by, with Ronnie Stanley signing, led by Pittsburgh's Dan Moore and Minnesota's Cam Robinson, both of whom could command close to $15 million per. San Francisco's Jalen Moore is probably next after those two. Now, with Cam Robinson, what's important is the amount of money. So if it's about $14-15 million per year, the Vikings will get comp pick credit for roughly a 4th-round pick, and that all adds up at the end of the day. So, yeah, Cam Robinson, go get paid. Go get paid. Hey, Patriots make a ton of sense for Cam Robinson, right? Yeah. Speaking of contracts, so Tommy Tremble, one of our favorites, got inked up by the Panthers, and they're banking on him having a breakout on a second contract. Pelissero compensation update: the Panthers are re-signing tight end Tommy Tremble to a 2-year deal worth up to $16 million with $8 million guaranteed per source. Now, this is important because you look at Josh Oliver, and he's in the final year of his 3-year, $21 million deal, and it's probably roughly what we're looking at in terms of an extension, because Oliver could have been a cap casualty. I don't really see that happening. I think it's much more likely that they extend him. I think he's a very important part of the Vikings running game moving forward. And also, he set career highs in receptions, yards, touchdowns, as well as targets. So not only a great blocker, probably the best blocking tight end in the NFL, but decent hands. pretty damn good. So, yeah, Tremble, the 2-year, $60 million deal, probably in that range for Oliver. I would certainly love to have him back. Plus, this is a really important year for TJ Hawkinson. I'm not saying get rid of him, but after this season, that contract is very edible. So hopefully TJ returns to his 2023 form before Dirty Kirby Joseph took out that knee. That's right. Speaking of injuries, Rap Sheet Souses, the Lions are bringing back edge rusher Marcus Davenport on a 1-year deal worth up to $4.75 million. After injuries robbed him of most of last year, Detroit takes another shot to run it back. Now, you remember Marcus Davenport from his 1 year with the Vikings, $10 million, and he was drafted highly by the Saints. He was coveted, has all the physical tools in the world, but simply could not stay healthy, and he went MIA pretty quickly with the Vikes, and just sort of is what it is. But here's the He got $10 million for doing basically nothing. And people piss him off like, hey, just bring back Daniel Jones for $10 million. Oh, we don't pay that much for a backup quarterback. Yeah, if you want a good one, yes, you do. It's exactly the contract that Darnold got. Exactly fine giving it to Daniel Jones. And also, whenever anyone brings up anything about like, hey, don't spend $10 million, Marcus Davenport. Marcus. That's it, man. Also, speaking of contracts and overpaid, Rap Sheet. Saints starting quarterback Derek Carr, after numerous talks with the team about his 2025 compensation, is getting most of his salary converted for salary cap reasons, per me and Mike Alfaro. Carr sticks, after all, in New Orleans, and he's set to make his full $40 million. Now, this is important because if Derek Carr stays in New Orleans, that means that beep, bop, 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 boop, that's one less spot for Daniel Jones to potentially leave to, and increases the chances of him coming back to the Vikings. I think he's coming back. Yeah. Lastly, so with Geno Smith going to the Raiders, that takes Shedeur Sanders off the table for the Raiders at 6 in all likelihood. So give it to my baby. All right, so Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders at 6. I want it. I need it. And yeah, they have Alexander Madison, another Boise State running back. That's quite worked out. But Jeanty is just a dude. He's fantastic, man. And what's important here, if Jeanty goes to the Raiders, he's out of the conference, out of the division, and the Bears do not get him. That's what's really, really important now because, in respect, Ben Johnson knows how to coordinate a running game. It's almost like he's a run game coordinator with an offensive coordinator title or a head coach title. He's a run game coordinator with a challenge flag. Nailed it. But, the trade for Jonah Jackson, whatever. The trade for Joe Thuney, whatever. If they get Jeanty, that could be a problem. That could be a problem. So, Ave Maria, Raiders at 6. Please just take Jeanty so we don't have to worry about him getting to the Bears at 10. That's it. But your thoughts are thoughts. JJ McCarthy watching hockey. It's his team. It's his team, man. Let us know. Comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol. Production value.